So Nirmala, you've been in the diversity space for some time now, and we've been hearing about work that you've done over the last 5 or 6 years. Tell me, how have you seen this market evolve? Are people more open to diversity today?
Most certainly. In fact, I remember when we first started about 5 years ago, I would sometimes have even very senior managers ask me, "You mean really people have the time to do something like this? It just seems so soft. It's not something that has any tangible results. You know, what is the ROI on this and stuff like that." So it definitely started off like that, but I see a lot of traction coming lately. Particularly, what is very fascinating is that it's moved away from the business case awareness and gender sensitivity and things like that, to more profound and evolved ways of looking at diversity and inclusion, which is around how do we create an inclusive culture for an organization. How do we harness the collective intelligence of an organization? So that, I think, is a fascinating area to be working in. We do not have ready answers for these kinds of things because it's a very long journey. It takes quite a while to do something like this, but we are definitely on the right track.
But do people understand? What do they understand by diversity?
In the Indian context, really, an average person would say diversity is gender. That's simply because that's the largest visible 50% of our human resources in that sense. But really, diversity refers to a lot more than just gender or race or ethnicity and which part of the country you come from. It really, in the business context, is particularly around the different ideas, perspectives and things you bring to the table. So diversity for an FMCG organization might be, instead of just hiring people from an FMCG company, could I be looking at an IT or a process company? Because that brings in a different set of skills to the table for me. Or if it is in an IT company, they might want to not only hire from IT, somebody with an IT experience alone, but possibly from an NGO or somewhere else, because they bring a different mindset. For example, the development sector works with very tight budgets, and that's a perspective and a skill that can be brought to an organization that's wanting to cut down on costs and look at things a little differently.
But tell me, there is a larger acceptance. The internal climate in most organizations is changing today, where diversity is concerned. Still, people are a little confused about where to make that start. You guys have been doing this for some time, so what is your suggestion to organizations? Where does one make the start?
Okay. Definitely, the most critical part around this is getting the leadership commitment. Now, they have to be convinced as to why the organization needs to do this, why this culture change has to happen, and once we have that buy-in, the rest of it can be worked out. Now, organizations start work in this area in many ways. It could start with an inclusion audit, for example, which identifies for you very clearly the pain points and the interventions that you need to make right away. It could simply even just be, start with a workshop, which creates an awareness and as to why organization is launching on something like this.
Sort of sensitizing people, is that?
Yes, it is sensitizing people around the business need for it, as well as helping them become a little more aware of their own biases and prejudices, which may be compromising relationships at work. And inclusion is really what gets you the results in the workplace, and helping to build those relationships becomes a leader's job. And kind of addressing that in that many words to an audience is very, very important to build a critical mass of people that are really bought into this. So future initiatives can be built on this platform of the awareness and the support that could come from this group.
So have you seen a typical time period from the time this sensitization or the audits that you conduct, have you seen what is the time gap between the intervention actually happening and the diversity journey beginning for the organization? What is the time an organization should invest?
I think anything that you do in the diversity space is not going to show results right away. So it's a very long journey. It's something that you will continue to do because you have more people that are joining in, and you really want to make sure that they're bought into the value and the culture of the organization. So whether it is in terms of getting started with the leadership team, talking to them informally, having them buy into the idea, it starts from there. Every little move that you make, whether it's a workshop, whether it is changing some policies to make it more equitable and fair and inclusive of the different groups that you're bringing into the organization, All of that is part of the journey, and all of these are little segments that then come together, because the whole subject of diversity and inclusion is a very complex subject. You know, it really sits at the intersection of a number of different subjects, whether it's psychology, history, politics, economics, all of that.